Hi everyone, myself Bhagyashree, and today I'm going to discuss about the system design. And I'm going to start the series for this. Like I will cover the some Facebook, Netflix, Uber, Pinterest, uh, system design at a high level. Which as a developer, as a system design developer or system design interview preparation, you have just a high level of info like what the criteria, what the things we have to be considered for which factor the system design will be depending on. So all the stuff like in the details also in the high level also I'm just going to discuss here. First I will start from the high level, then we will move further in the detail, I will say, for each component as per the like your demand or what is the response for this video from your side all. So I think that will be better for us. We will learning simultaneously and growing together. Like it is a very good series. I think I will start, and if anything I'm missing, please comment it down. And if have anything issues on any point of time or any point of I will say topics, please comment it down. I will try to give the answer as soon as possible. So let's start with that. I will start for the like first system design interview for the people like to find the teammate capable of independently designing and implementing the internet service. Like an interview is also a great chance to show your engineering muscles. Like you have to combine your knowledge with your decision making skills to design the right system for the right scenario. The coding you are doing, that is a good, but behind that, who designed the system? After that, you are just going to elaborate your programming language, what the language you are using. It is a, like independent, I will say. Problem will be having on the like system design. If you are a good system design, and then it will be like you just apply your programming knowledge and just create over there. So basic, I will say, fundamental for any software or any application, the system design is a very important topic and important concept which we have to be designed as a tech leader, as a solution architect. We have to be like properly create over there this thing. So I already have a 7+ year of experience, so I already part of the system design in my company. So I'm going to discuss here that component or that importance value which I can think that will be giving or adding the value. So the first thing need to know like about the system design, that it is like talkative throughout the interview session. So when you are appearing for the system design interview, it is not we are saying like this every time this will be a right answer. We are just trying to explore like what is the thought of that. If you having this situation, if you having this problem, what is the fundamental concept, what you think on this thing, on this problems or behind that, I will say. Secondly, I will say do not limit yourself for the only one solution. Like given the same problem, there could be so many way to solve that. It take to no license to be engineer. Like there are pros and cons to all the choices you will making. So discuss the trade-off with your interviewer also, like, and pick the most suitable solution for your assumption and constraint. Like it's like the real world. People won't build the golden gate bridge over a trend, nor will they build a temporary bridge on a San Francisco bay. So finally, I will say like excel the interview. You had better bring something new, and like good engineer script, great engineer innovative. And if you cannot teach people something new, you are just good, not great. Quality answer equal to, I will say, novelty into resonance. So first we just categorizing into 4 step, like um, the 4 step template. We will considering for appearing for the system design interview. We have to be split in the 4 sections. The 4 section should be like this. Just I'm going to that points here, if possible. The 4 step, like I will say, you can follow and divide the conquer way, like the clarify the requirement and make assumptions. The requirement also we have a 2 category: functional requirement, non-functional requirement. Then in the second step, what you can do is just sketch out the high level design. And third, you will have to like dive into individual component, like just take one component and deep dive over there and how they interact with each other. Fourth one, I will say, like wrap up with the blind spots or bottlenecks. Like what is the issue if the scaling system, or if it is a number of requests will be getting increased day by day. So what will be the problem over there? What your design? So that thing also we have to be keep in mind and have to be discussed and have to be key point over there. So clarify, like first step in the clarify requirement and make assumption on that what we can do. Most important features, like for example, I'm just going to create the Pinterest. So in that what happen, just most important feature what we have a news feed. In the news feed, what happens, customer will see a feed of the images after login. Second, in the features, I will say, in the customer follow other to subscribe to their feeds. and sometime they can also upload the photo, like they can upload their images which will be appear in the followers feed. And for the scaling out, like if on the Pinterest you see more of the people will visiting, logging and using their images, so on the scaling out will be like there are too many features and team developing to product, so the product is decoupled into the microservices, because every day the request is going so high. So it will be better we just create the microservices architecture over there, and basis on that creating the API and contributing. And I will say on the scaling out purpose we can use the like scaling option also. Most of the services should be horizontally scalable and stateless. And the second step what I mentioned, like sketch out the high level design. I will just give the image here also if possible, because this Pinterest will be used by the both who is using the mobile phone, who is using the laptop or desktop or system, I will say. So on that screen how they are appearing, how they consuming, I will say that that point of also we have to be customized as a observability and clients. We have load balancer, reverse proxy. In the reverse proxy, we are just categorizing in the web app, mobile app, or API app, task processing. And API app, what I develop, I will just create the like categorization. Like I have a followers, I have a feed services, I have a search services, I have a spam services. So that will be also we are just categorizing on this services. This function will be going to perform. In the web app, we are just trying to store our images. Blob store we have, CDN have. So combination of these two, we are just trying to store our images and videos. And the follower service is what I will use. I will use the Redis. For the feed services, I will use the HBase. For the search services purpose, we have Elasticsearch. We can use the DB. And for the spam services, again we have a HBase. So this is for the like high level diagram which we are trying to create, and what is the component we are just trying to create, and API services we are creating, and API service purpose, what is the database we are going to be used. And third will be like dive into the individual component and how they are interact with each other. uh, Once the architecture is there, I will say we could confirm with the interviewer, like if they want to go through the each component with you, or sometimes the interviewer may want to zoom into the unexpected domain problem, like designing a photo store. Then what happened? So however, let's still assume that we are building the core abstraction, upload a photo and then publish to the follower. And again I will say like it is as much as possible in a top down order, because this is our first design example. So in the real world you don't have to go through the each component in a such level of detail. And literally like instead you just focus on the core abstraction the first. And mobile and browser client, I will connect to the Pinterest data server and YS services. So and S services or S devices that provide an entry point to a network. So we can see the two kinds of S services in the image also. We have a load balancer. In the load balancer, distributing the incoming network traffic to group of backend server. Because of that, this load balancer we are using, they fall into the three category. First, round robin. It is like DNS round, rarely used. Client get randomly ordered list of IP addresses, and the process is like easy to implement and usually free. Cons I will say on that round robin, like hard to control and not quite responsive, because the DNS cache takes time to the expire. And in the second category, I will say L3, L4 network layer and load balancer. In that, what happened? Traffic is routed by the IP address and port, and L3 is a network layer like IP. L4 is a transport layer TCP. So IP TCP. So pros for this, I will say better granularity, simple and responsive. Example like forward traffic based on the ports. And the cons I will say on this have a content agnostic, like cannot route traffic by the content of the data. And in the third category, I will say LS application layer load balancer. And in this, what happened? Like traffic is routed by what is the inside the HTTP protocol. L7 is the application HTTP, and in case the interview want to more, we can suggest exact algorithm like round robin, and list loaded with the slow start, utilization limit, latency, cascade, etc. More on that. But right now, for the limited purpose, I will have this content, so I will just try to discussing the same thing. And yeah, so that will be like in the load balancer, we have a three component. And one of the key word I mentioned like reverse proxy. So reverse proxy, like unlike a forward proxy in front of the client that route traffic to external networks, a reverse proxy, I will say it is a kind of proxy sitting in front of the servers. So it is called the reverse. By the definition, a load balancer is also a reverse proxy, I will say. Real time scenario in the practically what we are uses in the applications development. So reverse proxy bring a lot of benefit according to like how you use it. And some of the typical one I will say, like we have a routing, we have a filtering, we have a caching. So on this scenario, we can use the reverse proxy. In the routing, what we can do, centralize the traffic to internal services and provide a unified interface to the public. Filtering purpose, like filter out the request without valid credential for authentication or authorization. Third, I will say caching purpose. Some resources are so popular for the HTTP request that you may want to configure some cache for the root to save some service resources. And you see, this is the image I'm trying to use here. This example.com API server, Node.js server, this, and we are using the US proxy. And the end user, when trying to access the same thing, we're just going to on that particular websites and trying to reverse or you like respond the data. We have an app in the three category like web app, mobile app, API app. In the web app, like what we are doing, there is a like where we serve web pages in the early days, web services using the combine the backend with the page rendering, like Django and Ruby on the Rails framework do. So later growing with the project size, they are often decoupled to dedicated front-end and back-end project. Front-end focus on the app rendering, while the back-end serve the API for the front-end to consume. And in the mobile app, what we can do, most back-end engineer like not familiar with the mobile design pattern. A dedicated front-end web project is very similar to the standalone mobile app. I'm also like I will say like I'm not very much aware about the mobile app development. I'm a web app application development and that team. And as a mobile app developer, I also don't have a, like much knowledge inside that. So where engineer can build user experience in both platform simultaneously, the like React for the web and React Native for the mobile. So just we have some UI component purpose, different thing, but otherwise it will be same. And in the API app, like client talk the server via public API. So nowadays, like people often serve the RESTful API or GraphQL API. And you see, like API, why we are telling API will be a stateless. If you have any idea about that, I know, but if you have, what is the meaning of stateless web API? Please comment it down for this answer, and we'll see like who will be having a right answer for this thing. So that will be I'm leaving on you all. So yeah, so what we are telling, like in the Pinterest, we have a follower services, feed services, and what we are trying to store image in the blob store and CDN. And also like we are searching the images over there, so search services and spam services. In the API category, I was just trying to create this thing. And in the step 4, what we can do, like wrap up the blind spots or like I will say bottleneck. uh, what are the like bottlenecks for the design in the Pinterest as a high level? Like I will say, for a popular photo based SNS, scaling is the system biggest challenge. So to make sure that the design can survive the load, and we need a capacity planning for this. So one of the things that I am considering for the bottleneck for this type of system design, or like for the Pinterest, dedicatedly telling about this thing. So in the capacity planning with the spreadsheet and back on the envelope calculation, like there are the two directions we could approach the estimation problem, like top down and bottom up. And the bottom up, you do like load test. Load test is, I will say, it will be compulsory before the production, because what you are develop, you have to be test like if 100 users or 5,000 users will be using your application, then what will be the challenges, what will be the problem coming for the scaling purpose, for the response purpose. So as a pre-production, I will say, in the staging or in a testing environment, you have to perform this load testing. So that's why as a developer we have to do the load testing. The load testing, like the same environment in actually when we are having to deploy, and the consumer or like client will be handling the same website. Before that, in the local environment or in the local setup, we have to get the same thing that is known as a load testing. And for the bottom up, like you do load tests so with the existing system and plan for the future on the company current performance and future growth rate. That will be doing the bottom up. For the top down purpose, you start with the customer in theory and make the back of the envelope calculation. Like I highly recommend like you do with the digital spreadsheet. We are just taking the data and like Excel data and just trying to performing actions over there. So where you can easily list the formula and assume this calculated number. We just have like, for the example, we have like daily active users, request users per day, RPS like machines, and then we have a scale factors, and what I will say, number of services instances. Real time, I will say capacity planning is a not a one time deal. It is taking huge time and planning and all the stuff we have to be think. As a big corporation engineer, we are indulged like with the abundant computing and storage resources. However, great engineers will think about the cost and benefits. So I would sometimes experiment with a different tier of machines and auto for their monthly expenses. So that's about the like system design. We have to be plan and go for this. And hope you like this video, and please comment it down. And if I think if anything I am missing or I have to do more over there, please comment it down. I will try to make more on this and work on this. Thank you. Meet in the next video.